The only people that care about you and your family is you and your family. Get out of the chat, post the content you need feedback about. Really tell me what you're afraid of. Let's have a real conversation. I'm not going to attack you on the internet. It's not how much you make, it's how much you're able to keep and invest in yourself. And so as I started to make a little bit more money, I'm like, okay, what do I need to put away? Far from perfect. So let me not, before people put me on this high horse, you know what I'm saying? But like I said, what happened for me was, and I like the Nipsey Hussle quote, you make a little bit of money, you're gonna feel a little bit different about yourself. And everybody has something a little bit different, but I think for me, like I tell people, once I got past my own insecurities of Isaiah is doing it, and I was like, yes, I am doing it. This is what I'm about. You know how I'm old enough to remember the commercial goes, does your shoulder itch? You might have cancer. And it's what?
I think it does.
It does. My shoulder. And understanding like, oh, that's their shock value to get you to buy their product. I'm always teaching, grab the attention, but I do understand that there's two sides to that. We have some extravagant lunch. The providers, the doctors really took care of us, so they were a little bit taken aback by it because a lot of people that I've networked with, when they stepped away from their job, they said they hated it, and I didn't hate it. I just wasn't fulfilled by it.
Welcome to Credit Chats, where we deep dive into the financial maze and uncover how everything from your daily coffee to your dream home impacts your credit score. I'm LeBaron, and thank you for joining us. Each episode will explore the ins and outs of personal finance, hear from experts, and answer your questions. So tune in, take notes, and transform your financial journey with us. Let's get started. Welcome back to Credit Chats, guys. We are here with another segment. So I'm going to start you off with my just the tip. So here we go. Looking for a quick credit score boost? Consider becoming an authorized user on someone else's credit card with a long positive history. If they have a strong credit score and low utilization, their good habits can be reflected on your credit report without you having to use the card. It's a simple way to piggyback on their credit success, just to make sure it's someone responsible. Want to learn more? Look into the benefits and risks of being an authorized user and how it can jumpstart your credit journey. All right, we have Isaiah Alejandro here, and he's a passionate content creator and brand advisor from Avondale, Arizona. Currently serving as the director at Deeper Than the Brand. He began his journey with no formal media experience, quickly mastered the digital landscape, creating viral campaigns across various platforms. He blends creativity with strategy to deliver impactful results, helping others transform their ideas into powerful online movements. Last but not least, he's a true coffee connoisseur. Welcome, Alejandro.
Thank you. I had to add the last part in there.
Yes, sir.
That's the part that matters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, but how's it going, my friend?
That's what makes you the wheels turn. So.
Oh no. All it does is make my heart rate go up and sweat because it's 113 today. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay. Are you still in Arizona?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. So yeah, 113 is how things operate out there.
Oh yeah. They're trying to set a record every year. We're in the middle of right now.
Okay. All right, cool. So let's get right into this, man. How did you first get started as a brand advisor, and what made you motivate this to pursue it as a career path?
So I didn't start there, so I had no motivation to. Funny enough, it's about 7 years now. I just celebrated my 7-year anniversary of my last day of working.
Yeah. Freedom.
Sorta. I'll say I had no plan, and so I had no direction. I just wanted to be able to give myself all of my time and see what that looked like.
Right.
And in the beginning, it was going to look like I had, I think, maybe $1,300 from a 401k pay after a payout. And so what that looked like is like, all right, if I can make this work in the next year, I could probably change my whole life around. But if not, I'll just go back to working, just being the same old Isaiah, medical assistant, nothing crazy.
Right. Wow. So you took $1,300 How did you finance that? Was it just from
No, it
savings?
was
What
literally
was it?
from an old 401k. I like that was
Oh, okay.
funny because it's a financial show, so I was like, "Oh, okay, this is going to be different," because then I could tell people I really started out with nothing, because the
Right.
401k payment didn't come right away. That's something you had to
Oh,
apply
yeah.
for. You had to be like, they're like,
Yep.
"What do you mean you're trying to get your return?" You just started paying into it, because I'd finally gotten a medical assistant job that actually gave me really good benefits. And to share with that, like, it was probably the best medical assistant job that you could probably get. It was in a
Hmm.
specialty office. You're off by 2 o'clock. You only worked 4 days a week. You got paid 40 hours no matter what.
Wow.
Free breakfast, free lunch. Like, it was, you only had to worry about your job. And
Hmm.
so the amount of comfort I had when I stepped away from that was really hard to walk away from. But
Yep.
like I said, I wanted to give myself 24 hours. And so with the 1300 was just an arbitrary money amount because I had none. I really went
Right.
to the main thing is I went to my family and told them what I was doing.
Hmm.
And at that point, they're like, okay, you can sleep on the couch and do what you can, but we don't know how long that's going to last if you're going to chasing whatever this is.
And oftentimes, good gets in the way of great. So
Oh, it was
just
great.
because.
That, that was what my because my previous employers are still friends on Facebook and stuff like that. And so they were like, we were looking at what you were doing. What is going on? Like we literally had a sushi buffet like the week before or something like that. We had some like
Right.
extravagant lunch. The providers, the doctors really took care of us. So they were they were a
Hmm.
little bit taken aback by it
Baffled.
because
Yeah.
a lot of people that I've networked with when they stepped away from their job, they said they hated it.
Hmm.
And I didn't hate it. I
Right.
just wasn't fulfilled by it.
Yeah. And that's, I think I'm getting to a crossroads at that point too. Like I have a great job,
Mhm.
but there's more.
Yeah.
And there's something else that I'm called to be doing. And I know what it is like, and it includes this as far as like credit is concerned and helping people out when it comes to understanding credit things. But yeah, and just like you were saying before with your 401k, even though you put into that, you have to get approval to get it back.
Correct. And they took half
and
of it
that's
anyway.
and that's the constraints because
So I
it
thought I was
sounds like you
getting
had a traditional.
yeah, I thought I was getting $3,000 back. They're like, "No, sir. We're gonna take a
Yeah.
chunk."
Yep, because that was a pre-tax traditional. When you contribute to it pre-tax, and they take the taxes out when you get it
Oh
out.
yeah. And so that's like part of the beginning of the journey too. I tell people that first year was actually easy because the
Hmm.
first year I didn't make enough money to claim on taxes.
Right.
And so I was like, oh crap, like even the IRS knows that this isn't working out so well. They're like, bro, go ahead. I know you're messing up your credit right now. We know you can't pay no bills on time right now. Like, we're not even gonna bother you. Like, you're not filing for
Yeah.
bankruptcy. Get to us when you got what you need. It's
And rarely does the IRS say
yeah,
that.
because in the second year, I got that little notification of, oh, you made over, I think what like 17,000, whatever little number
Uh,
it is. And they're like, oh, okay. But then that's when I started learning about the tax write-offs, and now
yeah.
it's a business expense. Like I never
Right.
got paid to go to work, but
Hmm.
they'll pay me to work out of my home. They'll pay for any type of trip, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, that baggage cost that $75
Yeah.
there, and then okay, and then even then that second year of taxes, I didn't know anything because of so much
Right.
expenditures. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. And that's good to see zero.
Oh yeah. Now I expect to see a higher number, but the first time I owed, I think I owed about 4 grand,
Hmm.
and I was telling people, I go, that probably would have crushed me when I was a medical assistant.
Right.
I was living paycheck to paycheck. I don't know how. I still don't know how people are doing it now. Um,
Hmm.
but I remember seeing that I owe 4,000, but I had enough to cover it, and I was like, oh, okay, this is weird. And
That's awesome.
yeah, it was a good feeling.
Yeah. What is your favorite equipment or software for content creation and brand advising?
So now it's Adobe Premiere.
Okay.
When I first started, and I explained to people, a lot has changed in 7 years
Hmm.
because right now I have content creators that want to be where I'm at right now, and the fees would kill them. And so I always tell people the best software that you can have is the one that gets the result that you can get right now. And so right now for me, that's Adobe Premiere. When I first started, it was the free Wii video on the internet. And that changed until I had to learn how to do color correction.
Okay. And that's for your photographs,
Oh,
right?
for video editing, street video editing.
Gotcha.
Photograph editing, I had no, like now it's Photoshop and Lightroom. I do post a lot of, like, just for fun, I do moon photography. So I'll have a lot of my moon photos that I'll do on Lightroom and stuff like that. I'll still use Canva. I tell people use Canva for your thumbnails, simple edits and stuff like that. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and you post a lot on LinkedIn, and I can see it on the internal Mighty Networks, the stuff that you post too. And you use AI a lot too.
Yeah, there's a healthy mixture. And that's what I explain to people is I don't overthink the tool. The first post that I'll make may look super simple. And then once I start learning a little bit of the features, because then Canva added a AI feature, then they added background removal. The reason why we started seeing more LinkedIn is because our team lead, Nikki, she started wanting to do more writing. And so I was like, all right, I know you can write articles on LinkedIn. And so I started looking at, oh, now you can add photos to the articles. When I first did LinkedIn articles, you added just a cover photo. But now they'll generate AI images for you in the middle of your article for the banner. You can add a photo and it'll generate an AI background for it. So there's so much difference from when I first started to now.
All right, cool. Yeah, use what gets it done. Yeah, that's a great tip. Can you walk us through what a typical day looks like at Deeper Than the Brand?
I don't have one, which is good. But the short part of the routine is I block out time for editing, block out time to either go to the gym or do recovery. I like doing sauna and stuff like that. And then I block out another time for more editing and then more training. And so if we're just starting, I would say don't worry too much about having a routine. Try to learn everything you can in one day. Because my routine when I first started was I went to Starbucks. So I wasn't at home for people to complain about me being at home. And I would literally just work on Canva and work on WeVideo and just edit whatever I can all day.
Nice.
Pulling podcast interviews, even if I didn't work on them. Because you got to remember now people will pull clips, post them as their own. And that's very common now. When I was doing it, it was still new to people. They're like, "Did you work on my podcast?" I'm like, "No, I just took it off of YouTube." "Oh, how did you get it off YouTube?" And so then that's where people started to understand that, oh, he's making content on a scale, not just this is a fun thing.
Right. And I think we broached this a little bit, but just digging into it some more. What are some of the biggest financial hurdles that you've encountered in your career, and how did you overcome?
So the biggest financial hurdle is just making money, and to be blunt about it, when you say, "Hey, I'm going to edit pictures," you realize that you're going to get a few pats on the back, but then it's like, "Oh, I'm going to charge you $30 to edit a photo, or I'm going to charge you $10 to edit a video," and then all of a sudden it's, "No, I don't want that." No, I don't want that. I was like, oh, okay. Everybody was so happy that I'm working for myself, but nobody wants to pay me for what I do.
Right.
And so that was the biggest hurdle in the beginning was the people I thought should support my business didn't. And well, no, when you're a boss, that's all your fault. And so I had to take ownership of all that. And so once I got to the point of, okay, there's something about me or my business that they don't want to do business with me or give me money, let me figure out what that is.
Okay. So how do you balance your role as director and brand advisor with your personal family life?
There's not too much balance to it because if you're a better person, you're going to be a better director, or at least you're going to have a good ethos or an understanding of people to be a better director and vice versa. As I've done more personal and professional development within the last few years, I've been better for my family. They noticed the difference. And then, and I won't jump too far ahead, but there was a point where we almost lost the house to now the house is paid off. And there was
Nice.
a point where I had to gain the trust of my family, just like as a
Right.
director or leader, I had to gain the trust of the people I work with because
Hmm.
it's scary.
Yeah, being an entrepreneur is scary.
Yeah, because you get close to the people you work with, and then all of a sudden they're not there no more, and you're like, okay, I do something wrong? There's so many different factors to it that even if you're a good director or a good leader, that doesn't mean people are going to be around you for a long period of time.
Right. Right. And has your understanding of personal finance and credit management evolved since becoming a brand advisor? And how?
Yes, I would say the biggest thing about it is you learn that it's not how much you make, it's how much you're able to keep and invest in yourself. And so as I started to make a little bit more money, I'm like, okay, what do I need to put away? What do I need to plan a little bit more for? What
Right.
account is the account where I don't need to worry about spending? And so I
Hmm.
started doing that for myself. Far from perfect. So let me not, before people
Yeah.
put me on
Yeah.
this high horse, you know what I'm saying? But like I said, what happened for me was, and I like the Nipsey Hussle quote, you make a little bit of money, you're gonna feel a little bit different about yourself.
Hmm.
And for some people I've seen it become an ego thing. But for me, I really wanted to protect and take care of my family. And so that's how my leadership bled over into my family. It was like, hey, all right, we went from no car to both cars are paid off and they both got insurance. So you can
Right.
go wherever you want. We have enough money for gas money. There's
Hmm.
nobody's coming to take it from us. And
Right.
being from a poor family, the boogeyman of somebody's going to come take it from you is real.
And you can get into poverty mindset if that's all you know too.
Correct. And that was
And
where a lot of the
and that's
arguments were with my family. It's because I'm trying not to cuss. No,
oh, you can. You
no,
can.
it's
This is
more of a
explicit.
personal thing. I'm trying not to. But there was some excuse me, there were some hard conversations with the family where I'm like, hey, you guys need to toughen up a little bit.
Yeah.
The only people that really matter are in this room right now, and we're arguing over something or over somebody or some entity that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And one of the things that changed is when my mom passed away. It was like, okay, there's only so much family left. Like, you guys really need to understand that we need to come together to work this out. And so they started putting that trust into me. It was like, okay,
Hmm.
we got one car, we're making extra house payments. My uncle helped us pay off the rest of the loan of the house. And so then
Hmm.
now, once you start pushing your own financial vehicle, then just like entrepreneurship, once you start getting a little bit momentum, it's easier for people to support you.
Right. Right. And what does your family construct look like? Is it? I mean, do you have kids? Do
No,
you have
yeah,
one?
no kids
One?
or no family like that. I have nieces, nephews. I have a
Oh,
godmother.
your extended
Yeah, yeah. I
family.
got
Gotcha.
because you got to understand. At some point with my family dynamic, when I'm talking about it, it's like everybody had an opinion about what I was doing,
Okay.
and so then now it was like now they look over and they're like, okay, what are you doing so much differently? Like what? Because the
Hmm.
curiosity hit a threshold after COVID because it was like he wasn't worried or stressed, or I'm still not. The questions started happening. What are you doing differently?
Right. Yeah. How did you do
Yeah,
it?
well,
Is
and
is
then I
normally
usually
the
tell them it's the mind, it's your thinking. And if you're so
right.
worried about certain things, what are you doing to make sure you don't worry about them?
Hmm. Yeah, and mindset is a big one too, because normally we're worried about things that we can't control or that will never
Yeah.
happen.
And I was going
Right.
to say that sometimes it's just good advertising. I'll tell you, the funny thing about media is it provided for my family. The other
Hmm.
part of it is it's also has a toxic aspect to it where it can bleed into the family's mental health or mental well-being.
Right.
And so it's almost a double-edged sword. Hey, this is how I was able to get us out of certain financial trouble and then now into more of a secure position. But
Hmm.
this is also there's other parts of this that's also very toxic.
Right. Yeah, because the advertisement of the things that are like just when you're scrolling, doom scrolling on Instagram, and all they show is the good parts of the life, and
Yeah.
then not everything else. You could get into a comparison game, and that comparison is the thief of joy.
Even
So
just simple commercials. You know how I'm old enough to remember the commercial goes, "Does your shoulder itch?" you
Oh yeah,
might have cancer. And it's what?
I think it does.
It
Then
doesn't.
my shoulder is.
In understanding like, oh, that's their shock value to get you to buy their product. Not to
Yeah, and that
not to
fear.
inform you any better, but they know that they need to grab your attention. And so as a content creator, I'm always teaching, grab the attention, but I
Hmm.
do understand that there's two sides to that. There's the people that are going to grab your attention for something you need and really need. And there's also the same people that are going to be grabbing your attention to instill fear to buy their product for them to get rich.
What does your investments look like now? And
No, I got
specifically,
you.
but
No,
just
I don't
like
mind share.
your
I don't
appetite.
mind share. When people have it, they don't mind sharing it. I can always tell
Right.
when people are bullshitting because then I'm like, oh, okay, you're pushing something. No, I got lucky enough where I started, and you might know Ian Dunlap from Earn Your Leisure. We started doing
Hmm.
video editing work for him. And so he started saying two tech, two index. And so I learned about how to buy stock, like you can buy chunks of stock if you can't afford the whole stock. I want to say it's a stockpile was one of them, and then Acorn was one of the ways I
Okay.
started because I was
Right.
like, okay, if I'm gonna spend money, and that'll round up and put it in an account for me automatically. And so
Hmm.
just those two tools where I started helped me build up to, and then I learned about high yield savings account. Okay, if you
Yeah.
don't want to risk your money, where can you get the most percentage for holding your money and different things like
Hmm.
that? So that's where I started to, or at least now have a foundation of. And then the next step is okay, if something happens to me, who does this go to? Who
Right.
has access to it? And even say for one of my biggest things was for my nephew after my brother died, was I made an account for him. So now he has money building up and he's not even 10 years old yet.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. And another vehicle that I learned about was a dividend yield and life
Yep.
insurance. So not only does it have a vehicle for you to hold your money and you're going to make money on
Yep.
it, but you can also borrow from it. So what we were talking about
Mhm.
before with that 401k, they scrutinize why you're taking that money out and then you get taxed on
Yep.
it. With dividend yield and life insurance, there's no 20 questions on why you're taking it out. It's just like, how much do you
Yep.
need? It's a loan.
Yep.
So even though you're paying it back, it's your money. And then you have a death benefit as
Yep.
well.
No, and they have that before where they've talked about like the infinite banking systems and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly what
No, and so I tell people, like I said, if part of being financially secure or even just secure in content creation or whatever it is you're doing is you got to eliminate why you're afraid of certain things. And that was the biggest benefit was I wasn't afraid anymore.
right.
I was like, okay, I've had a car repoed. Like, okay, okay, okay. And I remember them calling. They're like, "Are you going to pay it back?" And I go, "If I pay it back, are you going to give me back the car?"
You can get my
And they're
car
like,
back.
"No." And I'm like, "All right, so we're good, right?" And they're like, "We're going to go to court." I was like, "Fine, I'll go to court." Like, you,
You have the
yeah, I was
asset.
like, "You have the car." I don't know what to tell you. Like and I'll share this story with you. Literally the same day my car got repoed was the same day I got one of my first big checks.
Nice.
I got a check for $5,000 for a three
That's
month
awesome.
project. And I was like, all right, cool. I can call the car people. I can
Mhm.
put this away for the house because there wasn't much left on the car. That's just the crazy part about it. I think there was maybe 1,500 left to pay off on the
Mhm.
car, and I was towards the end of the loan. But because I wasn't
Right.
bringing no money in, I fell behind on the payment. And I was like, all right,
Mhm.
cool. I could pay the car off. Still have about 3,500 left. And then as I'm walking out of Starbucks, the car is just being ripped away by the tow truck.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, okay. And that switched something into me as okay, the only people that care about you and your family is you and your family. And so I go, okay, let me make sure that I don't over leverage myself to where I have
Right.
to hope somebody doesn't come take away my stuff. And that's
Mhm.
about having an actual asset versus actual unsecured debt, so to speak.
Mhm. Okay. Have you explored business credit at all?
Yeah, funny enough, this isn't my first rodeo with all the business and stuff like that. Some part of from like 2010 to 2017, we got business credit to help flip one of my friend's houses. And yeah, so ventured into that a little bit, learning how to leverage that, taking loans to buy equipment, buy when you're able to. give a full plan of what you're going to do with the money and the actual expectations of it, and there's an asset attached to it, it's
Right.
easier to secure loans. And I think that's one of the things that I didn't learn growing up, because loans are bad, debt is bad, and they're like good money versus bad money. There's good debt versus
Yeah.
bad debt. And
Yep.
one of the big things I learned about that is okay, now that you got assets, how can you leverage what do you have to either have security or to go on to the next thing?
Right. And that's my plan on why I even started this initiative about credit, about education, and all of that stuff, because that's not stuff we grow up learning. And a majority of the minority households, or the households that are less fortunate, the parents, they have had a bad dealing with the credit cards. So what they're telling their kids is credit is the devil. They only charge you all of this interest, and they never know how to utilize it as a tool to move ahead. So that's a big part of why I even got into this, and a lot of the crux of my crossroads in the place that I'm employed now.
And I had a conversation. My nephew, love him to death, but he's had to be a part of adult conversations about money way too early. And he was starting to tell me something, and I'm like, hey, bro, you're 8. You're 9. I'm like, who's talking to you about any of this? Are you going to go get a job? I think there's child labor laws. And he was a little confused by it. But I told him, debt isn't evil. Money isn't evil. And that's not the most toxic thing. The most toxic thing you can have is your own bad habits. Right. And I go, look at what we just did right now. We went to the store. You wanted a toy. We didn't get it. Okay. We went to the restaurant. You wanted 50 things that I knew you weren't going to eat. Okay. And now I need gas because we live an hour away from where we're going. Now, if I would have spent all that money on all that stuff that you wanted, all those bad habits, we wouldn't be able to get to where we're going. And I go, so learn that it's your habits, and there's no boogeyman. You are the boogeyman in your own story, buddy.
Right. The enemy is the enemy.
And it went way over his head at the time. But then I started, as he's gotten a little bit older, he's starting to understand, okay, mom isn't evil because she didn't buy me what I wanted. Right. Oh, okay. It is okay to save money or put things to a side. I don't need everything right now.
That's what I'm looking to do as well. Introduce the concepts and then build on it over time, like when you learn stuff. So what advice would you give someone looking to start a career in brand advising, and especially regarding financial preparation?
So when it comes to what I do now, what I tell people is, and this is where I train a lot of people on, is create something for yourself. Start getting comfortable with asking people for real feedback of what you're doing.
Right.
If you can't get that from people, go to a stranger. Perfect example, last year at a Vest Fest, we had made some merch for Deeper Than the Brand. And when Nikki wore the shirt, everybody loved it. They're like, oh, we love this shirt. We love it. And I was like, I think we love Nikki. Let me figure out if we really love the shirt. So I put the shirt on. And I didn't walk with Nikki. I walked by myself around the Vest Fest. And I literally had a woman come up and grab my shirt that says, you're a cheater? I go, cheater? I go, no, it says I'm a creator. But it was in like the cursive was really hard to read.
Yeah.
And she goes, well, that's hard to read. I would never buy that. And I go, oh, okay, perfect. Okay. Funny enough, when we walked around later, Nikki, she went up to Nikki and was like, oh, I love your shirt. And all Nikki had was a different color, and it was her. She had like a military green, but with I am a creator on it. It's same font, same everything. But because it was her, it was like, oh my God, I can't. And so I would tell people, if you're going to get into building brands and building stuff like that, be open to that feedback, and then be open to expressing yourself, even if you get negative feedback.
And I think that's a good rule of thumb in life. Like, even when people they package it in a negative way, you have to look for where the truth is in what they're telling you. And then you throw away everything that doesn't resonate, but you look for the truth in everything.
Well, as somebody who likes confrontation, that sounds easy. Because the initial part of me, when she said that about my shirt, I was like, whatever, bitch. What are you talking about? I wasn't even talking to you, and you came up and grabbed my shirt. Like, where is that even normal? But I will tell people, I don't. Once I started getting assets and getting a little bit more comfortable with building our business and stuff like that, it helped me
Yeah.
deal with my own insecurities.
Gotcha.
And like we said before, the biggest enemy that you'll have is yourself. It'll be the person that talks you out of, oh, should I go for this? And should I really honestly, when I started building this, I got out of my own way. In my head, I'm this superhero. I make so much money, and that wasn't the truth. I'm
Right.
broke, sleeping on a couch, and nobody trusts me with their brand. What am I going to do?
Mm.
Okay, I need to study. I didn't go to school for this, so I need to work harder than somebody who is going to school for this. I mean,
Right.
I was literally spending 18 to 19 hours a day reading about Canva, reading about Adobe, even though I couldn't afford it yet, reading about how colors and sounds. Why did this movie do? Why did this music video do so well? And I would that good first year, just every day was I wake up and then some
Yeah.
days I just stared at my computer like this isn't working. But I didn't move. I'm like, no, you have to stay here until you figure it out. And that's the advice that I would give to people is the better that you're able to deal with your own self, then you're going to be able to
Hmm.
deal with other people.
And a lot of people don't see the work that you did or the groundwork that you and the foundation that you laid. All they see is the glamour. You're like, okay, now I'm a brand manager, but you didn't see all of the time that I put into finding out about colors, finding out about sounds, finding out about all of this stuff. All is the glamour, and then you think just because I'm here now that it's easy to get there.
That's part of how you have to deal with the ego of what people are really wanting from you or what
Yeah.
they're, because sometimes you can get in your own way of taking just a compliment. It's,
Mm.
oh man, I'm so proud, like so proud of what you become. Oh, thank you. You know what I'm saying? Like the introvert of me was like, I need to tell you about, no, I don't need to tell you about none of that. You're not going to care. You didn't care when I was posting about it. I don't take it personal like that. But if the
Yeah.
people who really want to know how it's done, they get into the community, they ask
Right.
questions. I tell people all the time, get out of the chat, post the content you need feedback about, really tell me what you're afraid of. Let's have a real conversation. I'm not going to attack you. I'm in
Yeah.
Arizona. It's 113. There's nothing. Like, I literally took, I had a call with somebody. I go, look, I'm gone. I'm here. I'm gone.
You didn't feel
And they
that.
were like, I was like, and everybody has something a little bit different. But I think for me, like I tell people, once I got past my own insecurities of
Right.
Isaiah is doing it, and I was like, yes, I am doing it. This is what I'm
Hmm.
about. This is what I'm working towards right now.
Good deal. Good deal. And we're at the end here. Is there anything you want to leave with us? And then I'm gonna ask you where your socials and stuff like that. But is there any ideas you want to leave with the audience?
Well, leave with you because you know what I'm saying. I appreciate you for bringing me on, and because, like I said, there's not a long line of people trying to figure out what I'm doing or what I'm about, and
Hmm.
a lot of that is on purpose because we're building brands. We're not. If more
Right.
about me than the brand, that I messed up. You see what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
to be fair, because I ask you, you know about me because of deeper than the brand, right? And
Right.
so that's how I know we were successful about what we were doing. The
Exactly.
brand led the way, not Isaiah led the way. And so
Yeah. And I was impressed with all of your work, and of course, I follow you on LinkedIn as well.
yeah, and that's why I'll leave the audience with it is if we're going to get into this about the brands and building brands, let that lead the way and get out of your own way.
Awesome. Awesome. So on Threads, how can they find you, or Instagram
Oh,
website?
pretty much my name. So to be Isiaha Alejandro Alejandro 29. Most of the
All
handles.
right.
Honest,
And
yeah,
I'll post it
honestly, if
for
you
you as
just
well.
spell my first name out, I'm usually the only one that pops up. I would tell people get into deeper than the brand. Get that is probably the best way to
It's
get.
an amazing
This is the
community.
best way to get a hold of me because then the short version of that is I know that we both made an equal sacrifice to be here to put our content out to get feedback.
Right.
And so I always treat the community a little bit different than I would if you just hit me up on a DM. Hey, I need help with this. I'm an introvert, so I'm going to be like, who are you? Are you in the
Me too.
community? Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for accepting the invitation, and it's been an exhilarating conversation. I definitely understand, and I definitely thank you for giving us your insights and your story. So that is another Credit Chats, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Were you about to leave without hitting that like and subscribe button? I mean, you'll be back, right? So why not save yourself the hassle and just do it now? It's like putting your keys by the door, or packing your lunch, or packing 3 days before your flight and not the night of. It just makes life easier. But wait, did you just do it? I knew you had it in you. I appreciate that. See you next time. Same place, same channel. And remember, everything you need is inside of you.